Hey! What does a guy have to do to get some service around here?
There's no table service.
Are you serious?
There's no table service. You order here.
There's like 3 fucking feet. Hold on. Can I get a cappuccino?
Du kannst hier so eine Tasse Bohnenkaffee kannst du bei
Just
mir
give me a
haben.
fucking coffee, would you?
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Have you ever been in an institution? Cells.
Cells.
Do they keep you in a cell? Cells.
Cells.
When you're not performing your duties, do they keep you in a little box? Cells.
This causes it. This causes it. This causes it. Information overload. All the electronics around you poisoning the airwaves.
You are listening to the High Tech Low Life podcast, a cyberpunk media retrospective. High Tech Low Life contains language and themes not suitable for all audiences, as well as spoilers for the content being covered. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the High Tech Low Life program with your hosts Eric and Josh. I'm Eric.
I'm Josh.
We're back for another exciting, fun week of movie talk.
The third entry in our Decade of Dreams.
The Decade of Dreams has begun. I actually think it's only the second. No, maybe it is the third. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The Decade of Dreams is here. We're dreaming.
It is. We do be dreaming. So no dystopia stuff happened this week, right? Just none. It was all fine.
Yeah. So before we start talking about dystopia, let's announce what we're covering this week. We watched 2018's Netflix original Mute, directed by Duncan Jones.
Yes.
Starring a Skarsgård and a Rudd.
Yep. Great cast.
Fantastic cast. Interesting director. We'll get into it, but I guess we should start the episode with a content warning because this movie has a lot of it, a lot of content that needs to be warned about.
Yeah, just a trigger warning. This movie has a lot, a sneakily surprising amount of implied child sexual abuse. So,
largely unnecessary, if you ask. We're not starting yet.
If that's something that you don't think you're going to, and we are going to talk about it because I don't want to start reviewing the movie yet, but huge mistake.
Yeah,
we're going to have to talk about it more than I'm happy with. But
if that bothers you, it's coming. So
yeah, you might listen to the dystopia stuff and
also content warning for the dystopia stuff.
It's bad out there. It's pretty fucking bad out there, man.
This has been a great start.
Yeah.
All right, man. I don't even know how to begin dystopia talk. There's no real way. We can't start listing off executive orders and things that are happening. That's pointless. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't do anything but bring people down. We are under the new regime. Mm-hmm. It's here. The nightmare that we've been warned about by all these films that we've watched and all these books that we've read and all the screaming that people like us have done from the towers, like it's started. We're in it officially. Yep. I mean, it's been starting for a while, but like we're in the old school shit now. We're not just in like the implied American fascism. We're in like that good old European fascism. And
Yep. Gotta do some Lebensraum and yeah.
that old school shit. So, what are we gonna do?
Well, I'm gonna
Talk about Mute.
I guess we're gonna talk about Mute. Let's see. One of the things that I'm gonna do is effectively keep sitting around and hope that at some point the hiring process for the National NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, fires back up again, because I hadn't said anything because I didn't want to fucking jinx it. But I got fairly far into the getting a job process with them a while back, and then I got an email the other day saying, "What are we gonna do?"
Oh fuck! Really?
Yeah, they big hiring freeze.
I mean, I get it.
And obviously, the National Labor Relations Board, a federal agency for the rights of labor, is going to be, right up at the top of the chopping block.
Yeah, Doge, probably not a fan.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah, so that's a real bummer.
It really is. Maybe it'll still be salvaged. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I honestly don't know. Never had a hiring process stopped by executive order before. I assume if for some reason this clears up immediately, it'll just go back to kind of how it was. If it takes a certain amount of time, then they'll just have to do a whole bunch of reposting and it'll start all over again if, assuming their budget hasn't been cut to the bone or they haven't been dissolved.
Dissolved, yeah. Let's hope, everybody.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know, man. Like, one thing that's bothered, well, I don't know. I've noticed a large lack of like organized protests and stuff this time around. Have you noticed that?
They aren't. I've definitely seen a reasonable amount of talk. It's not nearly the fucking volume that it was 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen a lot of things where they're shooting for very large scale, like kind of nationwide thing, like they're trying to do the pussy hats. They're trying to do the pussy hats thing again.
Really?
I mean, not literally, but they're trying to do, we want to do a big national protest and get people, thousands of people out in every city. But I haven't seen, they don't seem to have been generating nearly as much heat as they did years in the past.
Yeah, I haven't felt the fervor like I felt in the past from, don't get me wrong, from the more middle of the road people.
The resist libs?
Yeah, the blue MAGA, the resist libs. Those of us, people like us have never just have a different outlook on the whole situation, so it's hard to compare. Yeah. But there's a lot of people I know that are just like disconnecting and just trying to survive the next 4 years, and I get that like completely. But also, it does worry me a little bit.
Yeah, on the one hand, I think yes, we should all be fighting mad at all times. On the other hand, if for your mental health you need to bail out, then I kind of have to take the same position that I did on the election, where, well, I mean, if the sitting president arming a genocide is your deal breaker, fair the fuck enough. I mean, I can't.
The most important thing that any of us can do for the next 4 years is to be alive at the end of them. So if that's what you got to do to stay alive, that's the most important thing you can do, in my opinion. Because lot of people didn't stay alive the first 4 years.
Yeah, and we're working on unaliving a lot more when we're defunding the National Institute of Health, and cancer treatment trials are being shut down day of.
Dropping out of the WHO and
who?
Yeah, the WHO.
I just want a moment for that. That is something that I have been doing for 25 years easily. Whenever someone says the WHO, I automatically respond, who? Because I was listening to a lot of NPR back when I delivered car parts, and I thought it was a funny bit, and it is welded into my fucking brain.
I know how that goes.
Yeah.
I guess I want to close this dystopia talk. I don't know if this is advice. I don't know if I'm qualified to give advice. I'm very privileged in my position in this world. Mm-hmm. So bear that in mind, everything I say. But one thing I've noticed is that I think we need to toughen up a little bit, get thicker skins, maybe harden our hearts a bit, because I've seen people breaking down with every executive order that comes out, and can you believe this? And everything that happens is crushing people I know. And it's you gotta get used to this. It's going to get much, much worse. And if you're going to stick it out through it, don't forget when these atrocities are happening, don't forget them, because they will need to be answered for, but don't let them break you either. You got to kind of let it roll over you. And it's hard and soul crushing at times, but I think that's the only way we survive and stay in the fight. You just got to harden your fucking heart against it. Right. Am I crazy in that thought?
No, I think that's I think that's really good advice. We can't ask you to do more than you can, but it's gonna become absolutely fucking unbearable if you take everything so much as the end of the world. I mean, we've been living in the end of the world for a fucking while now, and I absolutely fucking hate being a person who says this, but get used to it. I mean, toughen up, because that's not good advice. But at the same time,
it's also easier said than done. If you have a heart and you're watching the things that happen, you want to break down every time you see a new heartless act being committed, but you can't. If you're going to stay in the fight at all, even by just protecting your own, which is an important part of it, you've got to be able to function.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, and also it's the Gulf of Mexico. Just only refer to it as that. That's going to win us big points.
Yeah, I'm sure. Also leave Twitter. It's time. Get the fuck off of Twitter.
Yeah.
Completely. I made our last post on Twitter. We're done there. There'll be no more high tech low life on Twitter. There'll be no more me on Twitter. I'm not following the links. I'm not giving that man one click or one eyeball.
Over the past week, if people are unaware, there was a huge push on Reddit for subreddits to ban the posting of links to Twitter, as subjects, I guess, or posts. And it was very successful. And
it was a little bit heartening, in a desert full of bad news, a little bit of good news goes a long way. So Reddit stepping up was good.
And boy, there are a bunch of nerds big angry about it. It is very funny if you want to see some man babies cry about shit.
Yeah.
Click on, go to your state's subreddit and click on the post that has, 1,000 fucking upvotes or however many in the past week that says, hey, we're removing Twitter links. And go to scroll to the bottom, and boy, you're going to find some really stupid people.
Yeah, the baseball subreddits I'm a member of, which good on them. r/baseball, most of the local teams have done it too. Good for them. But yeah, they have some hateful responses. Which, what do you expect? We're nation on the brink of civil war, so it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But get off of it. It's bad. Like, I can't justify. I know
Get
some
up
people need
off
it
of
for
that
their
thing.
jobs. I know it's easier. It's more difficult than just get off it, but it's a useless fucking website.
Yeah.
It serves no purpose anymore. The purpose it used to serve doesn't function. So it's just time.
Yeah. Okay. You want to do some recommendos now?
Yeah, let's do some recommendos. You start this week.
Okay, I will. I got a few since we didn't do any last week. Number one, I watched, I think it's Best Picture contender this year, Anora. Have you seen that?
Oh, I've been wanting to see it real bad, but it's
That's
not
good.
available anywhere for free.
Mm.
I mean,
yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, good movie. Liked it a lot. Fun times.
Is it fun?
Yeah.
Is it fun like Mute is fun?
No, I would say it's much more funner.
Okay.
It's the main character is a sex worker who gets married, starts dating, and then ends up getting married on a whim to the child of Russian oligarchs. And it's kind of it's one of those movies that, like, they exist enough that they're sort of a genre, but it doesn't have a proper name, like kind of a One Wild Night type scenario. Yeah. So yeah, that's a fun movie. I liked it. It's also got a bit of a heart and a real surprising, really surprisingly solid supporting actor in it. That just, like, the performance blew me the fuck away when the character initially appears on screen and you're like, oh yeah, whatever, and just ignore him. But yeah, good movie. Liked it.
I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yeah. Other recommendos. Oh, going back in time, because I'm actually looking at my list. The Disney Plus Star Wars Skeleton Crew series ended. Mm-hmm. It started like 2 months ago.
It's a kids show, right?
Yes. It's fucking great. Like, it is fucking, I don't know, Star Wars Goonies type shit. Except it's better than Goonies.
Really?
Yeah.
I love Goonies.
That's fine. There's no octopus.
That's an inside joke that these people don't need to be explained.
So it's exactly the same as Goonies. Neither have an octopus.
Glad we got the back-to-back weeks of octopus talk.
Yes. It was a really fun series with, some heart and stuff like that. And it is
like
definitely
Barracuda heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I just saw a cover of that on YouTube or something the other day.
I think I linked it.
Oh, you did? Yes, that's right. Good show. I mean, if you've got Disney Plus, it's fucking worth a watch. It's the best Star Wars thing that I've seen since what's that show that's really good that's coming back this year? Andor.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I don't think I will, but
okay, that's fine.
I've skipped many a good Star Wars thing because I just got to pick my Star Wars carefully.
Yeah, I think this would be a good one just in general because it's not unlike so much of the Star Wars shit. It's not tied into anything at all. It's just a bunch of kids on an adventure in Star Wars world.
Okay.
I mean, there are weird aliens and fucking lasers and shit. Great.
I like aliens. I don't like it when people make Star Wars stuff and don't put in a lot of weird aliens. That disappoints me.
Yeah.
So, I got one.
Yep. I know you got one. I want to hear it. Wait, let
I've
me get my jacket.
Yeah, get your snakeskin jacket. I watched David Lynch's Wild at Heart as promised and delivered. I promised last week I would, and I did.
And it delivered?
It delivered. I still don't know that I'm a fan of what David Lynch does, but I definitely was entertained by the film.
I think it is a huge amount of fun.
Fun. It is definitely fun. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it. It was weird, but like obviously like intentionally weird. Mm-hmm. I loved I just love the crazy over the top acting in it. I don't know.
It's all like, I don't know. It's one of usually a lot of people who, like David Lynch, that ends up either at or very near the bottom of their list. Like it's usually either that or fucking Dune.
Yeah. I've heard Dune at the bottom of most lists.
And
which, by the way, those are now the only 2 David Lynch properties I've watched.
You've seen Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, I guess I did see it. I wasn't paying attention, but sure.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I have never been able to understand that because I, saw this on fucking VHS 30 years ago, and I have never thought it was anything less than an incredibly fun, just psychotic ride.
I mean, I'm a sucker for a road trip movie, almost universally. So that it's in the door right there. And then Nicolas Cage, yeah.
Oh, he is in full flower.
Full flower. It starts off so strong. The music changes are so violent, aggressively. Goes from like thrash metal to like classical. It's so, I don't know. It's such a weird movie,
and the entire cast is just fucking like banger after banger. You're like, oh man, Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern are in this movie. That's incredible. They're amazing. Oh shit, Harry Dean Stanton shows up.
Harry Dean Stanton's in it. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe, how he meets his end was hilarious.
Bobby Peru is one of the most loathsome creatures.
So loathsome. Oh my god, thinking about him makes me cringe.
It's an incredible performance that an actor, a professional actor who had like starred in movies and is a reasonably big name. It is amazing that he allowed himself to go so unsettlingly gross.
Willem Dafoe, he's the guy. He'll do whatever.
Yeah.
Hats off to him. Yeah. I don't know what to say. It was not what I expected, and by that measure, exactly what I expected. So
yeah.
I guess check it out. Do you got another one?
I do. Let's see, which one do I want to do? Oh, Severance came back.
Oh, I haven't started yet. Needed to lighten it up this week, so haven't dove into
that's
that
fair. It's still Severance. If you liked the first season, you'll probably like the first 2 episodes of the second season.
Pretty sure we will be covering that at some point. Maybe soon. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe while the heat's on the show, we should jump on it.
Oh, that's not a terrible idea. But the reason I bring this up specifically is because they also released the Severance podcast.
Oh boy.
Have you seen anything about that or heard ads? Okay. It is a podcast hosted by Adam Scott and Ben Stiller. Adam Scott, one of the great podcast hosts.
He's great. He's very good at podcast hosting.
He's honestly doing an incredible job of like pulling himself back from the brink of, because occasionally you hear these hints of he starts going on a little bit of run and he stops himself from getting into some insane, like starting some insane bit. Like
Ben Stiller, is this an episode of I Love Film?
Yeah, exactly.
No, Ben, it's an episode of the Severance podcast. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So I listened to, several episodes of that because it's been quite a while since I watched Severance, and I, in the past couple of weeks, haven't been exactly in the mood to sit down for that.
Yeah, same.
So I listened to the podcast, and one of the very funny things about it, and it's an interesting podcast. Lots of stuff about, the production and like how it all happened, and they have the actors on.
Boring.
But every episode has these ads, and some of the ads are like, I initially, at least for the first 2 episodes that I listened to, I thought they were a joke. It's for one of those things you hear ads for on, say, NPR or something like that, where it's some business solutions company where you don't actually, nobody has any idea what they actually do.
Oh, I've been hearing those too on other podcasts.
Yeah, and
you hear it and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, and I don't know. It also has some talk about like, oh, it'll integrate AI, whatever. Again, which makes me assume it's a joke. But I figured out those are actually real. It's for some business that does some business thing. I don't know, increasing efficiency. But it's read by Adam Scott and Ben Stiller, and they make repeat references to the TV show Severance in it. And it is the most Severance ass shit I have ever heard in my life. I don't know. It just seemed deeply ironic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. What else
okay.
you got?
I have one more thing. The only 2025 is going to be one of the worst years on record. I have a feeling. The only good thing for me in my personal little bubble of things that I love is that one of my favorite musicians has come out of his fucking hole deep in the swamps of Louisiana. His name is Dax Riggs. He hasn't made an album since 2010, and he hasn't really toured since 2015. And he put an album out this month. It's called 7 Songs for Spiders. It's fantastic. He's also reuniting and doing like shows with his original band, Acid Bath, which is a classic New Orleans sludge metal band from the 90s that is probably my favorite metal act around. So, Acid Bath's back. Dax is back. His new album is good. And I'm hoping Acid Bath tours near Kansas City or anywhere near us, and I will drive to go see them. So that's my recommendation is 7 Songs for Spiders and anything Acid Bath related.
So in the past 14 years or whatever, has he been in other bands?
No, there's
really?
Like rumors. There's been rumors all over his subreddits that he was like working at a Chinese restaurant and like flipping burgers and stuff. Because he made some money. Like he was in that Parker novel that was made into a movie.
Yeah. Parker.
Yeah. He was in that. And then he did the theme song for iZombie. So,
oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
He had some money coming in, but everybody would like not enough to survive on. But yeah, when he was interviewed, they're like, why did you choose now to come back? And he's like, no big deal, really. I just realized the world was ending.
So, yeah, sure.
Out of time.
I don't know, the reason I asked is because, and maybe it's just because you are a big fan of his, but I felt like, oh, Dax Riggs has been like relatively consistent in putting out material for the past decade. I did not have any realization that he had retired or something.
Doing my little part to keep his legacy alive. I feel like the way that sums up how his fans feel about him was when I was at his show in like 2011 or 12 or something, tiny bar that wasn't even half full, and he was playing, and some guy next to me just shouts out, "You're my Bob Dylan." And it's like, yeah, for like the 25 of us there, that probably is right. So for his very small group of people, he's very influential, and he's never really gone beyond that, unless you're a sludge metal fan.
I think I must be friendly or at least acquaintances with another couple of like 2 or 3 more people who feel that way, because there was enough in the past that I had no idea. But well, good.
Rollins is a big fan of his.
Yeah,
Henry Rollins is.
Well, he's my good friend. We chat all the time.
Yeah, I know. You guys are bros.
Makes sense.
Whenever you come over, he says, "You're expected and invited, so come on in."
Exactly.
All right, next.
We're not gonna have that conversation right now.
Yeah, we're running out of time on these.
Okay, I'm just gonna bookmark this for a future thing, whether it's on the show or on the Patreon or something. Okay. I watched a program called Big Mood, starring Nicola Coughlan from Dairy Girls.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this.
And I developed it's not as fully formed as a thesis, but I developed a theory of modern prestige television as it relates to women and patterns therein.
That's very large scope.
and I want to have a conversation about it, but it's definitely has absolutely no fucking place in this episode, and maybe not on this show. But I do want to bookmark that, and people can get at me if they want me to talk about it. And I also watched Silo because the second season of that ended with your girl Becky Fergs,
my girl, my queen.
Yeah, it's a pretty all right show if you want a bummer sci-fi show.
Oh shit, I don't actually want that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
because we're about to talk about one. Sorry.
Yeah, we certainly are. Hey, why don't we just do that?
All right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Mute. Oh,
boy.
So I'll say my feelings right out of the gate because I think I know what yours are. I didn't hate this movie. I could have. I feel like a few things different, and I would have really liked it. But they did some things really poorly, and it's hard to look past. Like you were talking about this in Discord, and because we have our own specific channel now in the Astronomica Discord.
Oh hell yeah!
You gave a little content warning about the movie we were covering this week, and the implied child sexual abuse. And my response to that would have been basically, if you're wondering how a movie with a cast like this and a director like this failed so hard, look no further than that trigger warning. Yeah. Because I don't think any of that shit needed to be in the movie.
I went back last night because I knew I had watched this when it came out. So I went back to our old show, Creek of the Week, and listened to the beginning
download, baby.
Yeah, to the beginning of 2 episodes because I wasn't sure which one it would have been covered on, where I talked about it. And I didn't talk about it much because back in those days, we had a 5-minute opening segment.
What happened to us?
Yeah. But I said at the time, I think you could make 2 good movies out of this. Welding the 2 together made it a bad movie.
Okay.
And I really think that this movie is a really interesting study in how a lot of things can come together that should be great, but once you get it all put together on the screen, it ends up being just kind of slop.
Slop is kind of a good word. It's a beautiful slop.
Yeah, there are so many things that I love about this movie. This is the look and environment of this movie is beautiful. It's it does Blade Runner, in my mind, at least equally well as Blade Runner 2049 did. Just in terms of...
Okay, let's rein it in there, buddy.
You're not going to change my opinion on that. Just for, street life, everyday people stuff, it is a beautiful fucking cyberpunk movie. I mean...
It is.
It really feels like a very good job of near future where you're looking at things and going oh yeah, I could see that. I mean, that could be the next architectural trend in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I'd go spend money to watch a robot stripper.
Yeah. And then they're pretty much every performance in this movie, I think, is really good, but they're not calibrated to be in the same movie.
I will say this movie with 100% accuracy affirms your previously stated idea that to make somebody a scumbag, just make them chew gum. Because Paul Rudd was going to town on some bubble yum throughout this whole movie. And that's the only way you can make Paul Rudd a scumbag. Because he's fucking Paul Rudd. He's fucking Ant-Man. I've been trying to curse less on the show and failing, clearly. But he's America's beloved Paul Rudd. Lawrence's own.
He's charming, kind of glib. I mean,
But you put that wad of big league chew in his mouth.
Yeah.
And suddenly, and the handlebar mustache. And suddenly he's helps. A piece of shit. That said, I actually didn't love Paul Rudd's performance so much. I liked Alexander Skarsgård, actually. In fact, I looked forward to his scenes, even though he wasn't talking. I felt he just did a better job of embodying the movie. I don't know. It's a weird movie, man. And a lot of these movies we watch, especially the bad ones, especially like the teens mediocre ones that usually have some amount of spectacle to watch, but but just a bad storyline between. I am checking my watch by the end. I'm bored and wanting to move on. I wasn't that way with this movie. I was invested in the story. Like I liked it to a certain extent. I just don't know. It also, I can recognize that it wasn't great.
Yeah, I think
I feel that way with a lot of Duncan Jones's movies, by the way.
Like, I think that's I looked him up after I finished watching the movie the other night. And I was like, what's he done recently? Because I know he did Moon, which was fucking great.
A prequel to this.
Yeah. Source Code with Jake Gyllenhaal, which I only saw like once, but I
liked it.
I remember thinking it was fine, like nothing spectacular. Then the Warcraft movie.
Oh, hell yeah. Day one in the theater for me, baby.
You had mentioned the Warcraft movie, or it had come up on the show sometime this last spring. And I was like, okay, fuck, I'll give that a shot. I got like 4 hours to burn. And I tried to watch it and got about like 30 minutes in and was like, I don't know, maybe I'll go take a nap instead. And then never came back to it.
Yeah, I get that.
And then this. And that's it. And I see why this tanked what seemed to be a pretty rapidly moving career.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like the Warcraft movie, I can see how that would... you could write that one off as just being too big for kind of a young director to be able to handle.
Or maybe
this one was
dog shit to begin with.
What?
Nothing.
The Warcraft story is immaculate, not at all stolen, but definitely don't look into anything.
As is the Shadowrun world building. Don't worry about it.
Yes. Sometimes good things are stolen. Anyway, I forgot my fucking point now. Now I'm thinking about Warcraft. I'm thinking about the Durotar and my old home where I used to roam the fucking plains on my Raptor. Those are good days.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. I'm not. I'm still there. But yeah, he did not handle some of the themes in this movie very well.
This movie is very interesting. It's what the movie actually does is not very interesting. But this movie I think this movie is a really interesting thing to deconstruct in terms of why doesn't this work? Like what mistakes were made and what could have been done to fix them?
Do you think Duncan Jones is like, he's a guy with brilliant ideas that he has a hard time putting into action, and when it's something simple like a man in a space station, he can do it brilliantly because Moon is brilliant.
Yeah.
But when it's bigger, like this big sprawling city or the Warcraft universe, he has a harder time reining it all in. Maybe he needs some people on his team to tell him to simmer down. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it. I honestly don't know. And I did a little bit of looking into the background of kind of why this movie, why then, why Netflix.
Yeah.
You know, kind of the production background. And I guess this movie started with a much simpler version where Sam Rockwell was going to be the main character, and I think based on a couple of sidelines in articles, I think he was going to be an AWOL American doctor, like in Germany, and I think that's kind of where it started. And then, and this was like before Moon ever came out. And then Moon came out, it got real big. Sam Rockwell's quote, like his price got bumped way the fuck up. and suddenly Duncan Jones was, by the laws of Hollywood, not allowed to make a small movie.
Yeah.
Because, you can't, every agent in the world will tell you, well, you've just had a huge success off of almost nothing. You have to make something fucking big again. Like, you need to go big and
but
show
the Warcraft
them what
movie
you
was
can do.
between Moon and Mute, so he'd done a big one.
That Warcraft movie wasn't out, when this was going into production.
Really? It took that long?
I think Warcraft came out in 2016.
I thought it was 14.
Something like that. Was it? Yeah. Well, anyway,
I'll look it up real quick.
Here, let me see. 16. Yeah.
Oh, 16. Wow. God, time is
Uh-huh.
not making any
It
sense to me.
certainly is. So he basically, and then anyway, so he took his success from Moon and went, all right, I'm going to make this fucking Mute movie huge. Like, I'm going to do, I assume, I'm going to do fucking Blade Runner, like set design, all that, just the depth of shit is going to make this a huge movie. And then he did that and shopped it around, and Netflix by far was the studio, because they weren't really a studio yet.
Yeah.
That said, okay, we'll give you like twice as much as anybody else.
Yeah, we just need a movie.
And yeah, we need a movie, and you are a known name and talent. And also, I think Moon was on Netflix for a very long time.
Yeah, it was. That's when I watched
I assume it still is. We can get you enough money to get real fucking stars, and we'll just throw money at you, which that's kind of, at this point, still how Netflix makes movies. Although, how well that's worked out is anybody's guess. And then it just rolled along. And
the joke's kind of on him, because a year later, a perfect Blade Runner sequel did come out, and it also failed. So it's kind of a doomed mission from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And I think probably in part because Netflix gave him a giant pile of money, and he could suddenly get like real serious actors that have, like, I think the main selling point that I remember of this movie, and in fact, what I remembered of this movie 2 weeks ago, was Paul Rudd was in that, and then some other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I couldn't remember that Justin Theroux was Duck, and I had no memory that Alexander Skateboard was in it at all.
Well, yeah, all the marketing was all focused on Paul Rudd because he was big.
Yeah, because he's
bigger,
bankable. I mean,
Skarsgård's got his stuff. In fact, most of his bigger movies didn't come out till after this. But he's not like, he's not.
What did he?
He had Vikings, but that was later. He'd been True Blood for a long time. He was.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he did more than that, but
yeah, I'm trying.
He had his cult following.
Yeah, I mean, because I definitely knew who he was before this movie, and I had seen him in a bunch of shit.
In 2016.
Oh, I do remember seeing a trailer for that and going, no.
The Northman, not Viking. The Northman is what I was thinking of. That was
Northman
22.
ruled.
It did. I love that movie.
Hey, speaking of which, I watched Nosferatu last night.
Excited for Nosferatu 3. Sorry, he did that joke earlier.
It's going to be good. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was in Skarsgård was in Generation Kill on HBO. That was good.
I love Alexander Skarsgård. I'm not going to lie. He's a dude I enjoy watching.
Yeah, me too. And he was in Zoolander in the gasoline fight.
That's true. That's his first, I think. I prefer him to his brother in most movies I've seen. Although his brother's good too.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think
I don't hate any of the Skarsgårds. We're a Skarsgård loving podcast. Let's be.
I mean, honestly, I prefer their dad to both of them, but
there ain't a Scar we won't Scarred. We need to get on to the recap though.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, let me put on my face paint. Okay, done. Okay, so this movie starts. Where are my notes? There they are. Okay, this movie starts. There's a kid in a lake. It just got ran over by a boat. He's all fucked up.
And you see that he has a slash across his throat, and you immediately say, "Oh, the movie's mute. He loses his voice this way." Okay.
Yeah. All right. We're done.
He's apparently Amish. I guess
they are Amish. Yes. And we
shout
see
out.
Yeah. Shout out to the Amish and Broge. So then we see a little scene with the doctor where the mother of the child is like, "No, we'll take him home and God will heal him if he wants," or something. So
God doesn't heal him. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah. Spoiler alert. God doesn't. A pedophile does.
That's the worst thing you've ever said.
Yep.
It's true though.
On the one hand, I don't feel good about saying that. On the other hand, it's a weirdly satisfying sentence. Like, just the second it came out of my mouth, I was like, this is hitting hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
So then we cut to 20 years later. We're in Berlin. It's the near future. Like, I don't know, 2050s, maybe? Whatever.
I think at some point it says it somewhere, but yeah.
Did it? Okay.
Shadowrun times, definitely.
Yeah, I had my eyes open for it, but I never saw a date.
Also, fucking love Berlin as a cyberpunk setting. Like,
yeah, it's
classic.
Solid.
They love cyberpunk over there. Like, they kept Shadowrun alive in its darkest years. I was in Berlin last year. They kind of nailed the feel of the city. Yeah. It's such an ugly but yet also cool city. I like Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin's fucking neat. I mean, you know, all sorts of great shit has come out of Berlin in the past
60?
70 years.
Let's cut our losses at 65. Make sure.
Okay, sure.
They really nailed the graffiti though. Like, graffiti's legal there, so it is fucking everywhere. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's where David Bowie produced some of his best albums. The filmmaker's father, by the way. I don't think we mentioned that.
No, I guess I just assumed everyone knew. But yeah, Duncan Jones is the son of David Bowie.
Yeah. Great music came out of there. KMFDM, all their crazy fucking German industrial bullshit. Atari Teenage Riot, all sorts of cool stuff. Great cyberpunk city. Unfortunately, it's a goddamn swamp. But anyway, so we're in the near future Berlin. We see Alexander Skateboard swimming underwater in front of a billboard with Echo the Dolphin on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, oh, it's this kid. And he gets out of the water and you see the big scar on his neck. And you're like, yeah, it's that kid.
Yeah.
Apparently he still loves to swim. Great.
Didn't scare him away.
Yeah, apparently not. He like tells off, goes back to his house. And we see I don't know, I guess an important background detail for reasons I can't entirely tell. It like the camera pans. He's got a what's the fucking hand crank record player called?
That's a
something
78.
a phone. Something a phone.
Yeah,
anyway,
I know what you mean. Gramophone.
Yeah, gramophone. Yeah. So he puts on a record. So he's not like super Amish. And the camera pans past all these photos on the wall. And one of the things on the wall is a newspaper article framed that says basically, American Amish are moving back to Germany. Okay. I don't
Shit's not good in America, is what it sounds like from the little bits you get to hear from it.
Yeah. So then he chugs some water like a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. And I kind of liked it. It showed to me that, like, I don't know, water is painful for him to drink, is what I assume, because of his throat injury, or maybe it's just his way of practicing holding his breath because he's a swimmer.
Yeah, I couldn't quite. I tried to build an explanation for it in my mind, and the holding his breath practice was one option I came up with. And then the other was related to, well, you know, one of the reasons that we humans can speak is directly related to why we cannot drink water and breathe at the same time. It's the position of our vocal cords. Goes back to, monkey times.
Okay.
Basically. So, yeah, the damage to his voice box could have made it so, I don't know. Anyway.
I imagined it like, oh, this guy's life is painful because he drinks all his water in one go because it hurts so much to swallow.
Yeah.
But wasn't really built upon later in the movie, so maybe that's bullshit. Who knows?
No, and it is just utterly fucking mystifying.
Yeah.
2 minutes out of the gate. Like just Alexander Skarsgård staring down the barrel of the camera, chugging fucking 32 ounces of water in like one go. It's honestly a really impressive show, but you're just like, what the fuck is this? So, we hit the streets, and the movie does an amazing job of being Blade Runner. Just not quite as wet or Asian oriented.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm
in at this point. I'm like, this is cool. What's so bad about this movie?
This is fucking great. Why does this have a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, it's got a really bad score. Something really horrible must be happening. Surely it can't be that bad. Let's keep watching.
Yeah. So we hear some like PA announcements on the streets about American military personnel need passes. And he's like hanging out on a street corner, carving a little bead out of a piece of wood. And then a girl calls to him. And it's a beautiful girl with blue fucking hair and lipstick. And her name is Nadira. And they go on a date. She gives him a phone. Oh, and one of the fun things is that tons of shit in this movie is what Amazon was saying was going to be the future, like, 5 years ago now?
Yeah, I was noticing that.
This slightly predates when I remember hearing about this all the time.
I remember, like, you think of Blade Runner, and when they make Blade Runner sequels, it's like retrofuturism from the 80s. This is like retrofuturism from 2007 or something.
Yeah.
The phones have like slide out keyboards and shit. I love it.
Yeah.
I miss my slide out keyboards.
Yeah, me too. God, I still, if I could get a fucking Google G1 like I had, just like the exact same format, but with, modern phone guts. I'd love that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the skies are full of fucking drones, including you use your phone to order a meal. A drone picks up the meal, and because you've got location tracking on, it can just drop it wherever you are.
That was going to be the thing.
It was. It's going to be a fucking cool thing. So they have a nice little date. They're in love. He doesn't use a phone because he's Amish. So she gives him this phone. It's like the oldest and shittiest one, she could find. And it becomes important later plot-wise. So then they go to the club.
Where we're all fam.
We are all fam. And there's a fucking hood ornament that's a stripper.
Yeah. And there's a Paul Rudd.
And there is a Paul Rudd with a handlebar mustache and a fucking Hawaiian shirt under a parka.
Yeah. I never put those two together, but you're right. He was going like Island and Alaska at the same time.
It's a strong look.
He looks good. He looks the part.
It's honestly I would totally rock his look.
Yeah. No, it's a strong look.
Minus the cargo pants. Just too many pockets.
Yeah.
But yeah, we go to the club. There's a stripper robot. There are a bunch of and it's a classic fucking cyberpunk club layout where you've got people with crazy fucking colored hair. And there's this one woman who keeps showing up in the background whose entire outfit and makeup is done looking all pixelated. Mm-hmm. She just has pixel squares on her face of slightly different flesh tones. And then her dress is the same way. It's fucking cool looking.
Yeah. You can't have a cyberpunk movie without a cyberpunk club. And this one checks all the boxes.
Yeah. So Paul Rudd's getting drunk, and then he gets asked upstairs. And we find out that Nadira and Leo work there as she's a waitress and he's a barback. And she gets harassed by a couple of English pricks, one of whom is Mickey from the first couple of seasons of the rebooted Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And he's being a dick to her, and then Leo like pushes him around, and
the white dude is in something we've watched fairly. Was he in?
Yeah, I meant to look him up. What?
Something we've watched pretty recently. You keep going now.
I think maybe he was also in True Blood.
You might be right.
Because I think I saw Robert Kaczynski. That's his name.
Yeah. He was in Warcraft.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yes. Oh, he's in Captain Marvel. Pacific Rim. That was fun.
Yeah. Anyway, we don't need to.
Yeah. Okay. I just fucking stop it. God damn it. Okay.
Stop it.
Leo pushes Mickey around, and then gets a warning like, "Hey, these are important clients. You're a fucking bartender. Don't do that again.
Let them rape if they want to." Okay.
Exactly. And this talking to is administered by one of my favorite characters in the film, Maxim, who is a black, like of African origin, Russian gangster.
Yeah, he's cool.
Bunch of clubs, and you're like, well, I'd like to see a fucking movie about this guy.
Yeah, this guy's interesting.
He just seems awesome. And yeah, he's an entrepreneur,
and he's not like heartless either. He seems to like he's tough. He's a gangster, but he's not. He follows through on his deals, right?
Yeah, and he's not needlessly a dick.
Yeah,
he, every one of the interactions we see with him, he's taking not unreasonable positions.
He's threatening, and he will have you tortured, but also, if he tells you he's going to do something, he does it.
It's going to take a serious step over the line for you to be tortured. You're going to have
torture. It's quite a bit of that in this movie.
Yeah, there's a fair amount. We'll get to that in like 2 minutes. We also get introduced to another character named Luba, who is a gay, sometimes cross-dressing for work. I don't know. Not certain. Friend of Nadira's, who's played by Robert Sheehan, who is a great English actor. He was in Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
And what was that show that I really loved him on when he was just a fucking kid?
I don't know, but I love him in Umbrella Academy.
Yeah. Bunch of kids get superpowers because they get struck by lightning, and they're all like fucking juvenile offenders.
I don't know, I'm never going to know.
Okay, well, I'm fucking looking it up now. I'm just trying to fill space.
Oh.
He was on the TV show Misfits. That's what it was called. Yeah. He was really great on that. It's a bunch of English kids that get superpowers. It's fun.
I like how they leave Luba's like gender and sexuality completely ambiguous. Like it just swaps around. It's kind of fun.
It is. It also leads to problems with me taking notes. Like, just in terms of, wait, how have I been referring to this character? Wait, did we just learn something new? Should I be correcting genderings? Okay, it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, they never specifically say what gender they are, but Luba also is clearly in love with Nadira. I never remember how to say her name.
Nadira.
Or
Nadi.
But is also clearly after dudes too, so.
Yeah, and I don't know, could be gay for pay, whatever.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk future, everybody needs to make a fucking living. And then Nadira gets a phone call, and she acts a little secretive about it, and then writes something down on a sheet of paper she tears from Leo's notepad, which is going to come back later. We go to Leo's apartment. It's after work. He opens the door. She's crying in the hallway, says, you don't know everything about me. I need to tell you about someone. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah.
He's like, you're going to dump me?
Shit. Yeah.
She's like, and he looks really sad. He's Alexander Skarsgård is playing a beloved golden retriever in this movie for the beginning part.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Like, I totally get, I 100% get why he signed on to this movie, because it is very much I want to show what I can really do. And I can fucking act my ass off with just my face. I don't have to say a fucking word.
I don't have to memorize shit.
This movie's going to force me to do shit.
Yeah. I think he does a pretty decent job, honestly. I mean,
yeah, he's very good at it. Like,
it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say he might be my favorite part of the movie. Yeah,
I think his plot is 100% my favorite part of the movie.
Right. You're right. If they just kind of focused on that, it might have been a good movie.
Yeah. So they end up screwing. He shows her he's got this fucking workshop.
It's really romantic the way you put it.
Yeah.
You know, the word screwing is so much more crass to me than fucking.
I kind of like
boning.
it for that reason.
Screwing.
Bone!
It's just got this gross, like, high school boy way where you don't want to say fuck because that'll get you in trouble. So you say screw, but it's like grosser for some reason.
Screw you. Yeah, he walks her down the street wrapped in a towel from her having just showered and opens up the doors to this garage that he's converted into a wood shop. And they screw on the table with the doors open. And
the sawdust all up in their nethers.
Yeah.
You ever had sawdust in your nethers? I have. It's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not from screwing, unfortunately, just from really bad placement of dust collectors.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. And also, this might turn out to have been a huge mistake later in the movie. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, should have left that door closed.
Yeah. So,
although you do get to see Chekhov's bedpost.
Yes, we do. Yeah, he's been making this big fancy 4-poster bed, and with dolphins carved onto it because he keeps doing sea creatures.
Yeah, he likes the water.
It's a water guy. Yeah. Anyway, we get to, it's classic film noir lover with a secret thing where it's like, oh, you don't know everything about me. And this is your first hint that like, oh, okay, I get it. She's going to disappear.
Yeah, she's dying.
Yeah, she's
at least disappearing.
She's leaving the movie very shortly. And then he wakes up the next morning in his bed and she's not next to him.
Uh-oh. That happened quick.
Say goodbye to Nadira.
It's a series wrap.
A series wrap on Nadira. So we go to Paul Rudd's place. He has a really nice little cottage outside of town. And he is operating on some fucking tracksuit Dracula, like cutting five bullets out of him, with the help of
hilarious banter with his associate.
Hilarious banter with his buddy Duck.
You're immediately like, these two guys are funny and great. I'm rooting for the blonde-haired guy. He seems funny.
Yeah, you really are. And you're like, my God, this is exactly like MASH.
It is exactly like MASH. Justin Theroux, what a
Theroux
charismatic dude.
Is a Trapper John for the ages.
And Paul Rudd is a Hawkeye.
In fact, in this scene,
maybe it's swap those two, but yeah.
No, I think Paul Rudd's the Hawkeye.
Okay, it's the mustache that's throwing me off.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, in this scene, they make direct reference to it where he's trying to find this bullet that's stuck in this guy's leg and cuts his pants off with this giant fucking Bowie knife.
Yeah.
Which is Chekhov's Bowie knife.
Chekhov's Bowie knife.
It'll disappear. It's going to disappear for the next hour of the movie and then come back.
Yeah.
And he ends up pulling the bullet out, and Justin Theroux says, "Yeah, you got a hawk's eyes, my friend," or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, and you're like, "Oh, it's MASH." And then he goes and gets a martini out of a fridge after he's, pulled the bullet out and stuff. It's exactly MASH. I'm not joking about that. He literally drinks a martini.
Yeah, no, it's a fun scene.
It's very intentionally MASH shit.
Yeah, it's MASH coded.
Which, honestly, one of my, I would much rather watch a movie of these two guys, these two characters, minus a couple of aspects of their personality.
Minus a couple of personality flaws, yeah.
Yeah. Who are, in debt to some fucking near future Russian mobster trapped in Berlin because they've gone AWOL from the army. And
great movie concept.
You could make a fucking great, fun, cool movie out of that. Unfortunately, Duncan Jones did not.
No, there are two great movies here. You're right.
I would love, just minus some minor.
Don't say that word. That's not the word we're looking for. Let's push on.
Pushing on. So, he works for Maxim and sews up gangsters. We find out that Paul Rudd is AWOL from the army, and he's trying to get out of Berlin, or get some new documents and then get out of Berlin with his daughter, because we find out he has an ex-wife who's a bitch. And it's
Duck
implied
has run he's not AWOL. He's finished his tour and is just living here because he likes Berlin.
Yeah, he likes Berlin. So long as he's got money in his pocket. Cooch to smooch.
Who wrote this fucking movie? That's worse than screwing.
Yeah. And we're also introduced just to another one of the great side characters, a guy named Gunther, who is a truly gigantic mountain of a German man.
Enormous German, yes.
With like kind of long blonde hair and thick glasses.
It's a good look.
He really is giving David Prowse in Clockwork Orange energy, if you remember that.
I don't, but I'm remembering something specific, and that's probably what it is.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, and the gangsters work for Maxim, who Paul Rudd also works for, and Maxim is getting him these papers, and it should be soon, like in the immediate future, next couple of days. And it's sort of the thing that Rudd is complaining about a lot through the movie. And I don't know, I think it's from Rudd's position, like, we should have been out of here 6 months ago. I'm guessing the reality is Maxim said, yeah, work for me for a year and I'll get you the papers. And we're at about a year now.
Yeah.
Because
and Paul Rudd fucking hates Berlin too.
Yeah, he does not like it.
Cactus Bill.
Yeah, Cactus Bill. I guess I should say character names.
It's hard when it's Paul Rudd.
Yeah, it really is. So let's see. I lost my place. Oh yeah. So yeah, we find out that he's got a daughter. Her babysitter is a sex worker who is extremely young looking. Don't worry about it. That's definitely not going to come up later as a plot point. But he loves his daughter very much. And there's a monitor like on the basement stairs to where he can see into his daughter's bedroom, like while
Chekhov's baby monitor.
Yeah, Chekhov's baby monitor. Fuck.
He's clearly a good guy. Like, he loves his child, and nobody who loves their child has ever been bad in a movie.
Yep.
Also, as a moment of levity, Alexander Skarsgård's IMDb picture is him in a tux top and tidy whities.
Yeah.
And sock garters.
I don't remember what that was from, what premiere that was from, but I remember when that happened.
It's a solid look, and it's very funny. And I'm looking at it as we're about to talk about awful shit. So
he is a funny guy.
Yeah, that way.
So
he died in a gasoline fight.
Yes, he did die in a horrendous gasoline fight gone wrong.
Very few of them go right.
to the sounds of Wham, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, wake me up.
Orange mocha frappuccinos. Sorry, this is not a Zoolander podcast.
Should it be a Zoolander? Wait, David Duchovny has that cool cryonic chamber around his hand.
There's like mind control and stuff.
Yes. Okay. Go to the next day. Leo's in a cafe, ordering some coffee, and we see the fallout from the movie Moon on the TV.
It's kind of funny.
Where there are like 158 Sam Rockwells testifying to Congress. It's pretty funny. It's a good little bit. And then Paul Rudd walks in, and he's being annoying and an obnoxious American. Like he's just generally kind of an annoyed dick the whole time.
Yeah. Bad temper. It's very rude.
In the way that if you watched a sitcom with a character that was like, it's like he acts like a real life version of Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
With a Bowie knife,
with a giant fucking Bowie knife and a handlebar mustache. Yeah. But he's just like, he finds everything annoying and cannot help but talk about how annoying and stupid he thinks
Yeah,
everything.
He is a Larry. He's like a dangerous Larry David.
Yeah. So he talks to Leo for a minute, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're the bartender. You know those guys you almost got in a fight with, the fucking limeys. Like I don't want to stand between a guy and his grudge, but I need those two fucking guys. So do not fucking, fuck them up." And you're like,
he says it with less F-bombs than you.
Yeah. Actually, does he?
I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of the end. Oh yeah. Also, we find out that Leo is an amazing sketch artist, where he draws Paul Rudd with a dick coming out of his forehead,
mm-hmm.
and it's a pretty good likeness.
Also, a little world building. They talk about Germany is apparently like conquering Europe again for some reason. Just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I think that happened in this scene.
I couldn't. I don't know. I was trying to put together kind of the background news stuff, and I don't know. I couldn't quite figure out a coherent way for things to make sense.
Nah, it's all over the place. There's wars going. America's at war in the desert. Germany's apparently at war in Europe. It's all over the place.
Yeah, it really is. So
it sounds like there's another world war, but Germany and America are allies. But I could be wrong with that.
Yeah, it's hard to fucking say. I don't know. Maybe I should go back and watch Moon and see if there's anything about that on there.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a third movie at some point.
Apparently, there was a graphic novel released in 2020 that I think might have taken the place of the third movie when this one bombed ass.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about it. So
anyway, we gotta go.
Yeah. Leo goes to work. Nadira's not there. The limeys show up. They start a fight with Leo. Leo gets fired. Done.
Mm-hmm.
He goes home, tries to call Nadira, doesn't get a response to his text, and goes out wandering the streets looking for her. We go back to Rudd's place. We interact with the babysitter, sex worker again. Weirdly, like out of nowhere, Justin Theroux is like perving on her, and that definitely won't come back. So
it's a little weird, but she's of age and she's a sex worker and she handles it well, so it's fine. It's fine, right? It's fine.
Yeah.
Justin Theroux, totally, I love him. He was great in
Zoolander.
He was in Zoolander?
Yeah, he was the fucking DJ who did the breakdance fighting.
You're right. He fucking was with the dreadlocks. Holy shit.
With the dreadlocks. He also wrote Tropic Thunder.
It's great. I love Justin Theroux.
Yeah.
Date Jennifer Aniston or something?
I think they might be married.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
So, good on both.
Anyway, yeah. So Leo's wandering the streets. He follows Luba out of work to a whorehouse, which is the parlor, which is connected to Maxim's club.
It's a very classic cyberpunk brothel.
Yeah.
There's what little I played of 2077. There was a scene that took place very much in a room like that.
Yeah. So he goes into the brothel looking, and they say, no, there's no Nadira here. And then he writes, it's like, I'm going to say throughout this movie, I'm going to keep saying, but mostly he's writing shit.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to describe every fucking scene where he's like, and then he sketches blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So he says he's looking for Luba, and he's escorted to a room, and Luba comes in and is annoyed at him.
Yeah. Luba's not a fan because Luba is in love with the same lady.
Yeah. And also, I get the impression that Luba is just kind of one of those fucking people who cannot not have chaos around them.
Yeah.
If things aren't chaotic at this instant, then they must act to make it chaotic.
Yeah. I do love the character, though.
And I think it's a fucking great performance. And Robert Sheehan is doing incredible fucking accent work in this. Like, I kept clocking that throughout the movie because he's doing an incredible job of someone who is a, native, I think maybe Polish speaker, who is very fluent in English, but just every once in a while, there's a slightly twisted syllable, and it's really incredible, very subtle work. So he's like, yeah, I don't know where the fuck she is. I thought she was with you. If she's not with you, then she probably broke up with you. Fuck off, dork. And
You want a hand job? And then he freaks out.
Yeah. What is it? He says some big guys come in because a lamp gets knocked over. Big guys come in and are like, what the fuck happened? And he's like, yeah, I reached for his dick and he jumped like a startled kitten or something.
Yeah, something like
that. So he gets kicked out, partially by Gunther, who in a single shot, Gunther fucking absolutely launches Alexander Skarsgård, who is a big guy.
Very large man. But Gunther's bigger.
Yeah, he literally, like, it, in a medium shot, you see he grabs Skarsgård by, like, the collar and the seat of the pants and launches him a couple of feet off the ground, several feet distance-wise. It's pretty impressive. So they definitely won't fight later.
Definitely not.
Yeah, okay. So then we get to the next morning, and Leo gets a text from Luba. Or from Leo. She's from Nadira. Fucking hell.
There you go.
Yeah, my notes are single-spaced. So he gets a text from her, which is just like I don't remember what it is. It's like a picture of them together and says, like, missing you or something. So then we go and we see Paul Rudd and his daughter, and they're meeting Mickey, the two limeys, in an extraordinarily cool fucking underground cybercrime swap meet.
Yeah.
Like
when you hear about the black market, this is the black market.
Yeah, I want to see a whole movie in this place. And he like explains that, like, oh no, we aren't here all the time. Different days, like, different people come in, and, like, some days it's like all guns, and other days it's all cyberware and stuff, and it just seems fucking cool. So, and Rudd and his daughter are getting things processed or something. Yeah, I don't know. There's none of this movie is actually explained. Like, it's all just treated as background stuff. Everything, like, there's fucking cyberware, computers, DNA. We don't know. Who cares?
I kind of like it that way, honestly.
I
good
prefer
that way.
it. Yeah. I prefer a movie to do it that way, as opposed to having a guy sitting down and going, this was developed in the blah, blah, blah war. Whatever.
At one point, Paul Rudd actually calls it cyberware. He says the word cyberware.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think that's the only time I've ever actually heard it referred to that in a movie.
Yeah. Huh. It can't be the only time. But he does call it that. And it is very uncommon to hear them say it.
It's like hearing somebody say zombie in a zombie movie.
Yeah. So, and then Leo shows up and gets in a little tiff with the fucking limeys, and suddenly has a revelation, because they say, yeah, I don't know. She was just some fucking chick at a club. I have no fucking idea where she is. Who cares? Because that's obviously the type of people they are. I mean, some waitress that he was grossly attempting to bang one night, and then it doesn't fucking, like, outside of the context of being drunk in the club that night, she might as well doesn't exist.
Right.
And he suddenly gets and Leo gets the idea, wait, she wrote down something the day before she left in my notebook. Maybe it left an impression. So he charcoals it, gets an address out of it. And it's the name is like Oswald. And that's where we go from there. So then
it's time to visit a hobbit.
Well, in a minute, it's time to visit a hobbit. Then there's bowling.
Oh, bowling. Okay.
Yeah.
Bowling is where this movie takes a turn for me.
Takes a turn. So Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux go bowling in the type of thing where it's one of the things that I like about movies that are set in different countries.
Just showing slice of life shit.
This is an incredible bowling. It's like 5 levels tall with, I don't know, 100 fucking lanes. And I'm looking at it going, this could be sci-fi. This could be entirely sci-fi, or they could have shot this on location in a fucking 5-level tall, 100-lane bowling alley.
Who knows?
I have no idea. How big is bowling in Germany? I don't know.
Don't either.
Totally fucking believable. This place is packed. So they're bowling. They're having a conversation about how, Paul Rudd's like, we're almost out of here. It's going to be fucking great. Wonderful. And Justin Theroux's like, fucking schoolgirls. And he's staring at the schoolgirl's skirt at her panties.
Yeah, they're showing it too. Like they're making you complicit by lingering on this schoolgirl's underwear.
Uh-huh.
It's not fun.
It's like, I can't figure out what, like, I want there to be space in the movie between the tone of, because like on the one hand, if you were just looking at the script, you would go, oh yeah, this is like some gross 80s sex comedy script bullshit.
Right.
I mean, just because humans don't do that or talk that way. I mean, but watching the movie, it is shot dead straight. Like, it's just Justin Theroux saying, like, fucking itty bitty titties. And God. I don't remember what else he says
something about them being hairless. It's
just, gross.
It's fucking disgusting. And Paul Rudd's character is obviously uncomfortable by it, but doesn't also shut it down. Like he should be like, I mean, he does shut it down. Okay. He breaks his hand.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He doesn't react in the way I want him to react. He reacts.
He doesn't. He's seemingly a little uncomfortable at the Justin Theroux comments. He's like, hey, yeah, that's sure, man. That's fucking gross, you weirdo, or something like that. And then like a few lines later, Justin Theroux says, before too long, you're going to have to keep them off. You're going to have to keep the guys off your pretty little daughter.
Right. That's
what sets Rudd off.
Rudd's cool with him. Yeah. Rudd's handling of Justin Theroux's character throughout this whole film is very bizarre.
And the thing is, I wish it seemed more bizarre than it does, because I was thinking about it and like, yeah, that's kind of what we did as a society for, I don't know, a century or so, where we're like, that's just a gross comment. He would never act on that.
No, I get what you're saying. Where suddenly when it involves his daughter, he's caring. But I mean, when you take that and then add in later scenes where suddenly he's like, you're not going to see another child again. It's like, well, now you care all of a sudden. It's back and forth and wishy-washy. Yeah. And if Paul Rudd really cared that much, he would have been shutting it down when the dude was oogling the chick's panties.
Yeah, it's very fucking weird.
It's handled poorly by the writing and directing, I think, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Anyway, on the upside, that's the last time we're ever going to deal with that subject in this movie, right? Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Why? Why does this guy have to be a pedophile?
Yeah. To make the movie an extra 25 minutes.
I guess.
So Leo goes to the address that he got from the notebook, and it's an apartment, and inside is Mary from The Lord of the Rings, dressed as a geisha, and there are some fuck robots on the bed. It's
strange.
It's really neat. Like, if I would love, like, this is the type of thing where if this just showed up on fucking YouTube and somebody sent it to me, like if this scene had just appeared on YouTube and somebody sent it to me, I'd be like, wow, that is a really cool short film. I mean, fucking great. Give that guy a bunch of money to make a real movie. And just because it's such an odd piece of fucking business. It's
for as unimportant as the scene is, that there's a lot going on in it.
Yeah, there is a lot of shit happening.
It could have just been a guy in an apartment jerking off and it would have accomplished the same thing, but no, they went all out.
No, they put Dominic Monaghan in a fucking kimono with the black, that there's a specific name for it, the hair style, the geisha hairstyle, and like fucking flaking pancake makeup. It's very weird looking.
It's disturbing. And the robots are very. Are they CG or are they actual models that were built? Because it doesn't matter.
I think well, at least in part of it, they're real because you see Skarsgård bumping into one.
Yeah. I don't understand what you get out of watching those two robots fuck each other, but hey, I'm not judging. Dominic Monaghan.
It's not my shit.
You do you, brother.
Yeah. So it turns out that Dominic Monaghan apparently hires prostitutes from Nicky, who's the guy who runs the parlor that Maxim owns. But Nicky is also running girls on the side, like not giving Maxim his cut.
Yeah.
And we find that out in the scene. And one of the pictures that this guy has in just a display of lots of photos of, we assume, sex workers is a shadowy woman on a street corner and signed Nadira. And you're like, oh, okay, so here's our next bit of plot. Also, there are some very funny lines in that where Dominic Monaghan's talking about how Nicky needs, if Nicky's going to be like this about it and send fucking goons to my house, he needs to run a better class of whores. Fat Matt wasn't even that fat, and he needs to wash better between clients. So we get the impression
he's a regular.
This guy is just an all-around pervert who is down for what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
He was disappointed that a guy named Fat Matt wasn't as fat as promised.
He's also down to clown with Leo once Leo threatens to beat him up. But yeah, everybody likes Leo.
And also, my favorite detail of this whole fucking scene, in the background through like the big picture window, and I've seen this apartment building before, like in pictures. It has these odd kind of ovalized rectangular windows. I assume it's in Berlin, but it's got this one giant fucking picture window that's probably, I don't know, with a single pane that's probably like, I don't know, 12 feet long and 10 feet high, or maybe like 15 by 10. And on the outside of it, it cuts to an exterior shot, and you're looking through the window for a second. There's a little square robot crawling along the wall of the window, and you look at it and go, oh yeah, that's how you do window washing. When it's like those little magnet things you have on an aquarium to scrub the inside of the aquarium surface. And I was like, that is a really beautiful little detail that, like, if you're looking at it close, it fleshes out. Yeah, they got a whole world of this shit.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, moving on.
We're trying to figure out what the bottom sex robot did with like the horns on its chest.
I
don't know what. Yeah, there's a lot of holes, a lot of suppurations, if you will.
Yes, I think that aside from, well, I assume NZ's pretty puncture proof.
Yeah,
NZ would fit right in this guy's.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Fucking parties. So, moving along, and I don't think we need to go through the whole rest of the movie. It's a bunch of twists and turns.
It's typical.
There's a car chase that's totally unnecessary. Justin Theroux pervs on some more girls.
Yeah, in the whorehouse,
including fucking the babysitter.
He does fuck her. Paul Rudd frequently leaves his daughter at the brothel to be watched.
Or
the ladies seem really nice there and take care of her.
Yeah, or hire the ladies to, watch her at his house or something. Actually, the one lady that takes care of her for the majority of the time she's in the rest of the movie, Tanya, I think her name was, who is an Duncan Jones's casting was fucking perfect for this. I think he was just like, give me Grace Jones in 1983.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the woman he hired, who has gone on to be in like the Black Panther movies and stuff, is exactly Grace Jones in 1983.
Florence Kasumba.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, she is just fucking incredibly statuesque and buff and
very tall.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do a bunch of running around. There's an unnecessary car chase for like literally no reason other than to set part of the budget on fire.
Yeah. Basically.
And there's a scene in a Japanese restaurant, which is Leo tells Nikki, I know about the girls. You wouldn't want Maxim to find out about that. Tell me what you know about Nadira, whatever. The important thing about that scene is that Leo runs into Josie, Paul Rudd's daughter, for the first time.
And they hit it off.
She's drawn a bear, and he sketches a bear and cub and gives it to her. And then also, in the background of this scene, are the coolest motherfuckers I've ever seen in any movie. Who Nikki tries to threaten Leo with. They're referred to as, you see that syndicate over there? They work for my boss. And they are the most badass sons of bitches ever. They've got fucking like the bottom half of their face is makeup or tattooed or something, like jet black. They have all white eyes and they just stare.
Yeah, they're creepy dudes.
And you're like, wow, that is an incredibly cool cyberpunk gang. I mean,
right. It's it helps with there's a lot, like the world building in this is pretty good. Let's be real.
Yeah. There's just tons of great shit in the background of every fucking scene.
Yeah.
So we also see like, Justin Theroux at work at his clinic that he runs, where it's called, I can't remember what it's called. It's called War something. Like,
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, but he has a side project, for charity of fitting kids with prosthetics. And there's a very normal and not even slightly uncomfortable scene where he is taking video of a, 11-year-old girl. You want to know?
What I hate about it is how they make the audience watch. How they show him put the camera on the girl and they show you the camera angle. As a counterpoint, a movie that had a very disturbing scene involving a child pervert that kind of like marked me when I was young was The Devil's Advocate. In the beginning, Keanu is defending this pedophile, and rather than like show his gaze like lingering on this child's body parts, they show like he's like stroking the table underneath where he's being tried in a really gross fucking way, which is perfect because it makes you feel as grossed out as you're supposed to be, but you're also not complicit in his fucking crimes. And I don't know why people insist on and any kind of sex crimes making the audience implicit on it. I hate it so much.
I totally see, I see the value of confronting the audience with their complicity in this type of thing. Because on the one hand, we're in a world where fucking SVU has been on TV for 27 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And
shout out to Ice-T, the real one.
Yeah. We are sort of inured to the concept of sex crimes, like just as a society. And I'm trying to think of good examples, but there are really good examples of movies where the filmmaker is like very conscious of, I am going to make you're going to see this in a way that is realistic, and you are going to feel bad about having having watched whatever it was for entertainment. I do not think that Duncan Jones is competent enough, or that maybe he is competent enough, but this movie is not competent enough to do that in a way that is, I don't want to say satisfying, but
effective. Yeah.
Effective. Yeah.
I'd like to, I mean, not that I want to watch them, but I would wish you could come up with an example of somebody doing it well, because I've never, and it's not just for like child abuse stuff. It's for a lot of sexual abuse situations. I hate it every time.
They are out there, and usually the movies are terrible. Like usually the movies are huge bummers.
Yeah,
like and
of course they are.
You know, they're the type of movie that, and there are plenty of movies like this where I go, "Wow, that was a great fucking movie. I am literally never going to watch that again."
I just don't need to be told or explained that the shit is bad. Like I know some people probably do, but
and
I don't know.
I've found it to generally be, it's a little easier to handle when the movies are doing that with violence.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, and it pops up every couple of years where there'll be some action movie or something that kind of looks like an action movie, or could be marketed as an action movie, but it's actually just in the action for way too long. And you see the aftermath of like, no, this is what happens when two adult men get in a fight and one of them have a knife.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, there are examples of that are a lot easier to handle, where the filmmaker's going, yeah, and you just watch this for entertainment. Remember that. Like, keep that in mind.
It's like the end of Saving Private Ryan. That movie scarred me, that Nazi stabbing, what's his name?
Yeah. And this movie is not competent enough to do that.
Part of it is, what's your goal? Like, if your goal is to show the horrors of war, that's one thing. If your goal is to, you know, talk about how sexual assault has been, you know, the rape culture, you know, that's important too. But if your goal is just to say, hey, look at this guy, he's a fucking weirdo, that is not a valid goal.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't want to drag this.
Yeah, we need to press on, but it's important to talk about in this movie because it's the reason the movie is as bad as it is.
You can't make that tone work, and that is why this movie doesn't work.
I don't know why he tried.
I would love to know what else is on the cutting room floor of this movie, like, and kind of how much happened in reshoots and rewriting, because there are some little hints in this movie. Like later we have this scene with Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux in a coffee shop, and they're talking about
so
how
much to get through still.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go through the whole rest of the movie. Okay. Fuck that. They're having this conversation about how but I've been fucking with that Leo guy. Justin Theroux's got Nadira's phone, and I've been fucking with him and like sending him these crazy messages. And Paul Rudd's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You're gonna screw up this whole goddamn thing. And Justin Theroux and Theroux says, yeah, he's been looking for Nadira, and good luck with that. Am I right? And then Paul Rudd's reaction to that is like, the fuck do you mean?
Yeah, I remember that scene. That was weird to me too. Like I thought it meant Duck killed her.
Yeah, see, I think there are parts of this movie where Paul Rudd, or a version of this movie where Paul Rudd did not kill Nadira, but for some reason they needed it to happen. I think there's got to be.
Well, okay, let's, because that brings me to one of my big complaints about the movie, and that is when Leo suddenly remembers what happens the night that he and Nadira had sex, because all of a sudden he remembers, or it's just it's presented to us, and then it's just assumed that he knows that he was drugged and she was kidnapped out of their bed that night that he showed her the bed he was making. So why did he suddenly, like, he just suddenly had information?
I think
it feels really Deus Ex Machina to me.
Even though like that is 100% easily readable as, oh, he suddenly has a flash of memory.
It's not good storytelling.
I think he was imagining it, which isn't good storytelling either, unless you are setting it up. Like, you could do it with, he is imagining this, if we had previously seen versions of him running through events in the past, and then it turns out they were wrong. You could, if you had set up, this movie is partially about how we imagine events that we don't see. That's easy. Like you can do that movie. That's not this movie, but I assume that is like kind of what flashed in his head once he figured it out.
Okay.
Quote marks.
I suppose that makes sense. It just seems like he suddenly had a lot of information that he didn't.
You're absolutely right. And maybe I'm being too generous. And it is. He suddenly remembered. But
either way, it's not satisfying. But it does. It does lead him to Paul Rudd's house, and to the discovery of his beloved's body, while Paul Rudd is, and we get a flashback of Paul Rudd killing her. That is weird too.
And she is wrapped in plastic.
Just
like Laura Palmer.
And suddenly you realize Paul Rudd's not like this kind of nice father guy with a bad temper. Oh, he's actually a murderer, which is kind of disappointing. I don't know. I mean, you can kind of see it coming. Whatever. It's not what I wanted for the character.
You can kind of see it coming, but also the way the character has been portrayed prior to that, the character doesn't deserve it.
Like the character, if he's gonna be a bad guy, we need to see him like deciding between good and bad and then doing something bad, like not in a flashback in real time, or have a redemption arc. But this I don't know, this weird thing where he was just, I don't know, it just didn't satisfy me very much.
Well, it's not only that it doesn't satisfy you, it's also, the filmmaker pulled a dirty trick on me.
Yeah, it's that.
Which
is this a mystery box?
No, but
I've been trying to figure out what that term means for a while.
I can explain it. It'll be irritating.
Don't do it on the show. Yeah, on the show. It's gonna be a long text after we're done.
It's a dirty trick. Which you can there all these things you can do correctly and effectively. A filmmaker can play a dirty trick that makes you go back and go, fuck, well, I guess that, what he said in that scene 30 minutes ago could be interpreted that way. In this movie, there's not enough of that. Like, there's no foreshadowing. And one of the problems, one of the things that people don't understand is the difference between reality and fiction is that, absolutely, this could totally happen. Like, Paul, this guy's such, he's a really good dad. He's a fun guy. Had some trouble with his ex-wife, but no big deal. But he was such a great guy, cool to hang out with. And then he fucking killed his wife, and nobody saw that coming. Like, none of us were, that is a thing that can happen.
Yeah, happens
in reality. But reality doesn't have to feel plausible.
Reality is not a good movie.
Yeah, the difference between films or novels and reality is that films have to be plausible. Like, you can set up all sorts of insane rules so long as you state them ahead of time.
Yeah,
before they become important. But you can't effectively do that kind of manipulation on an audience unless you foreshadow it more effectively than this film.
Yeah, I feel like Paul Rudd's character was, and I would put some of it on Paul Rudd too. And it's not all on Duncan Jones, but he's just all over the place. The whole time you don't know if he's bad or if he's good. And it's not in I don't think it's an intentional way. 'Cause I think they want you to think he's like this angry, good dad. And they overdo it sometimes. And he seems like a piece of shit, like that scene in the cafe when he's harassing the service worker. Not in a fun Larry David way. He's like being a fucking asshole.
Yeah. And again, I can see what would have been a fun fucking movie. This guy's been trapped in Germany for a fucking year working for this gangster. He is reaching the end of his goddamn rope. He and his best buddy, who is in this version 100% not a pedophile.
Definitely not. This version.
They're gonna roll out this fucking plan to screw over the gangster and get the fuck out, and it's all gonna be a fun heist. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you could do that with this, like almost exactly this version of the character with you'd have to rejigger a couple of the existing scenes, but tonally this movie is fucked in the ass.
All right, let's finish it out. So Alexander Skarsgård whips out his trusty bed frame leg, and
which is a terrible thing to beat somebody up with, because it's even as big as Alexander Skarsgård is. This thing is much bigger around than his hand.
Yeah,
you don't beat.
You don't one hand that thing. You need a bat. Just get a bat. Yeah. But it does look cool. Well, you got to give it that. He fights Paul Rudd and ends up slowly stabbing him in the throat. In a way, I just brought up
Saving Private Ryan.
I just brought up Saving Private Ryan, and this is not nearly as effective as a Saving Private Ryan stab.
Yeah, with Paul Rudd's giant fucking Bowie knife.
Yeah.
Sticks it all the way through his neck. It's coming out the back of his neck. And Paul Rudd is gurgling on the floor.
At which point... Go ahead. Because now he's mute, right?
Yeah. Now he's mute and probably dying. We find out very shortly he is dying. Alexander,
but you understand how poetic it is. The most motor mouth guy is now mute.
Yeah.
Do you understand it, Josh?
No. Can you explain it again?
Sorry, it seemed really cheesy to me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you go, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
right. We're shooting. Okay, we decided to go this heavy-handed. All right. And then you're like, wait, I guess the rest of this movie is not subtle. Okay.
Yeah. Alexander Skarsgård takes his wife's corpse out into the woods and cuddles it under a tree.
And then Justin Theroux shows up to save the day. He goes in the house.
It's the opposite of what happens.
He goes up the stairs, like peeks in Josie's room and like waves at her, and then he goes downstairs to the basement where the door is open, and finds Paul Rudd choking on his own blood, lying on the floor with a Bowie knife in his neck.
See, what's so weird about this, and we got to stop talking about it, but these guys like love each other. Mm-hmm. Like genuinely they are brothers in arms, but they also fucking hate each other. Which is kind of cool. I hate the dynamic.
I find I find Justin Theroux's performance in this to be very good. I mean, horrible.
Well, the character's horrible.
Horrible.
The performance is good.
Absolutely chilling, but really good, because I don't know. I read this and okay. So what happens in the rest of this scene is that Paul Rudd's choking on his own blood and dying. Justin Theroux's like, yeah, man, we could maybe save you if I took you to my clinic or the hospital or something, but then they're going to ask all these questions, and you don't want that. I mean, that's not the best for anybody. So I guess you're just going to die here on the floor. Oh, by the way, and starts walking away. Don't worry, I'll take care of Josie. And walks up the fucking stairs, turns the Chekhov's baby monitor towards Paul Rudd and says, "You shouldn't have been so mean to me, Bill."
It's like the darkest fucking part of this movie.
Yeah. And on the one part of my brain goes, well, if the movie had ended right fucking there, I mean, it still wouldn't be a great movie, but fuck, it would be the bravest goddamn thing I've seen in narrative filmmaking.
It would be chilling.
Yeah. So I think Justin Theroux's performance in that is very much, and his performance through the back, I don't know, maybe the 20 minutes preceding this part is really incredible, because at a certain point, Paul Rudd catches him. You know, he's been fucking videoing patients.
Yeah, we skipped that scene.
Yeah. And seriously is just about to absolutely fuck him up. Seriously about to fucking go to town on him. And confronting him like, look, you cannot be like, I fucking knew something was going on in Kabul. You cannot be fucking doing this. People I know don't do this shit. And is just about to fuck him up. And then he gets a very important phone call from Maxim saying the papers are ready, so you just need to pick them up. And Paul Rudd immediately shifts into, oh shit, I'm almost out of here. So
He's
going to
too happy to be a pedophile.
I'm going to ignore this problem because it's not going to be, it's not a problem that's going to directly affect me.
Right.
And and then a little while later, he says, here's the thing. I'm going to give you my house when Josie and I get out of here. You can work for Maxim. It'll keep you away from fucking kids. It'll remove the temptation from you, and it'll be fucking good. And and through this whole thing, Justin Theroux is doing this performance of like, it's just, I had just started. It's all like a game, man, and doing some very real like
misdirection.
Well, not just on his part. Yeah.
I feel like we've talked about the pedophile shit for so long.
God, I know. And the thing is, the movie demands it, for God's sake. We can't just fucking skate by it. And he's doing all these things that, in these post Me Too, and also post, at least me being and you being
post Pizzagate. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, being feeling human beings with empathy. He is doing exactly the moves out of every sexual abuser's playbook, like whether it's fucking Harvey Weinstein or fucking Kevin Spacey. All these people, they do the same thing. Like, oh no, allegedly. Hey, if Kevin Spacey wants to come for me, he can come for me. That'll get us a lot of fucking publicity.
It's true.
Seriously.
Local podcaster attacked by Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, great. So he's doing all this shit through it. And then finally, in that last fucking instant where he's like, you should have been nicer to me, Bill. That is the only bit of his the reality of that character coming into the film and into the performance, where previously it had pretty much all been like, oh no, I'm just a fun guy. I hang out with dudes and we make some jokes,
call him
but
babe.
We would never do something. Yeah. Call him babe all the time. He's, wait, is this movie saying that, former SNL news host Dennis Miller is a
pedophile? I don't know. Draw your own conclusions. We're just asking questions.
We're just out here asking questions. And it is utterly chilling. And even though it would still be a bad movie, maybe the movie should have ended there because
I don't know,
that's
man.
a swing.
I would have preferred
swing.
Just take all that shit out. Make him be a bad person for another reason that doesn't involve all this shit that doesn't really add much more than if he was like into just killing people. If he's just a run-of-the-mill serial killer, I don't think that would have made this shit any worse.
Yeah, it's truly mystifying. So then we go through, and there's still like fucking 25 minutes of movie left. It's shocking how long the end of this movie is. So
we can sum it up in 2.
Yeah, we can. So he picks up Alexander Skarsgård out of the woods, knocks him unconscious, then goes and implants a fucking cybernetic voice box in him, and then they go for a fucking drive because Alexander Skarsgård refuses to apologize for killing his friend Bill.
When really he killed his friend Bill, because he could have taken his friend Bill to a hospital and saved his life. But whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So they take a road trip with him, Josie, and Leo, and they go to this bridge where this picture that Leo's been showing everybody of Nadira was taken, and then Justin Theroux's gonna push him off this bridge.
He's paralyzed.
But he's been drugged pretty bad. So Justin Theroux's going to push him off this bridge, and then Chekhov's chugging water like a psycho comes into effect.
He did do it like 3 or 4 times during the movie.
Yeah. And instead of just being pushed off the bridge, he bear hugs Justin Theroux and hops off. and holds his breath, and Justin Theroux drowns, and he comes out of the water. And there were also some gross comments by Justin Theroux immediately before that about how Nadir was such a hottie back then before she got all knocked up.
Yeah.
Sure. And so Skarsgård comes out of the water, and Josie is like up on the bridge saying like, "Are you okay? What happened?" And
first time Josie's spoken.
Yeah, and then it's the first time that Alexander Skarsgård has spoken. He says in a slightly distorted voice, because new voice box, "No, get back from the edge," whatever. And then he takes her, and he's going to go drop her off with her grandmother, who misses her. Yeah, we skipped over that part of the movie. It doesn't matter. And
I did like the scene where she's like, "You sound funny," and he goes, "You sound funny too," because she has an accent, a very thick accent, and it is actually quite adorable. Yeah, she is a super cute little girl.
Yeah,
and she's a cute giant man.
Yeah, he's 6'5" or something. He's fucking enormous. Like, he's unnaturally large. And that's the end of the movie. He gives her a little bead that he had been carving for her mother with seahorses on it. Done.
Finds out that all the ones he'd been carving, she had been giving to her daughter, which is
cool. She had on a little bracelet. Yeah,
this is a good ending that didn't need a whole lot of the bad stuff in the middle.
Yeah, it's
okay if the mom dies, but the way she died was unearned. So much unearned.
This movie is a collection of missed opportunities to make a good movie.
Yeah, which I think it makes it an interesting thing for us to talk about, because it's not across the board bad. There's so much good.
No, there's so much stuff. If Duncan Jones wanted to go and make two separate movies set like side by side, where one is the fucking,
that would be fun. Actually.
Yeah, it'd be fucking great. Like, characters walk, you see Paul Rudd in the club as Leo's fucking making drinks, whatever. That's
Paul Rudd's in his movie. You hear about this mute guy going around fucking everybody up.
Yeah, it would be fucking wonderful. Tying the two together does not work. Like, it completely unbalances everything past the, 40-minute mark.
I don't know, man. I'm going to go even further and say I think there is a movie where you could have tied these two together. You would just need to drastically reduce one side or the other. And I would say reduce Paul Rudd's. When that bowling alley, when they hit the bowling alley, the movie dies there for me. I was in it to that point.
Yeah. And when you texted me last night, because I had sent Eric a text, I'd watched it the night before and said, this movie's got a lot of stuff. I'm glad we did not Patreon this.
Yeah.
And then you texted me last night about what is all this pedo shit? And I was like, oh yeah, he must have hit the bowling alley. Okay.
It's seriously, the movie fucking dies right there. And I can see why it's got so many bad reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, because people will overlook stuff, but they will not overlook being made sick to their stomach by a pedophile plotline that doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting example of how so many individual elements to a movie can work so well, but the movie itself does not work. I mean, it's just fucking slop. It's beautiful. It's like if you went to a really nice restaurant, ordered 5 main dishes on the menu, and said, "Hey, can you just dump all those into a fucking tureen for me?" Just give me a set of salad tongs, and I'll just scoop it into my fucking mouth.
Yeah. It's a 5-star Michelin restaurant in a blender.
Yeah, it's truly mystifying and interesting how much this movie doesn't work, because there's so much, like, the Paul Rudd performance, the Justin Theroux performance. Those would be, those are fun. Those are fun characters, but they are fucked over by the movie they're in.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say fun is necessarily.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know what
if
you
they
mean.
removed,
they removed the awful things about them. Okay, let's rate it. Story. Like I said, we got 2 stories going on, and I think they're both good. but combining them hurts it. So I'm going to give it a 6, I think.
Yeah, there are, let's see, 2 stories. Combining them hurts it. I don't know. I think maybe I'm a little more offended by how close I can see this is to being good. So I'm gonna go 5, I guess.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I don't know.
I was giving it a little extra because I do like both the stories. I think they're both great.
Yeah,
we just talked about it for an hour. Influence.
I don't
0.
know, man. It's fucking nothing.
It's any influence. It could have had some, but it didn't.
I don't know. Alexander Skarsgård didn't talk much in The Northman, so
that's true.
Maybe is that an influence?
All right,
no,
points.
It's not 0.
Prescience. Like you said, I can kind of see some of this stuff happen. Nothing really specifically stands out as likely. It's more traditionally cyberpunk than a lot of the stuff we cover, honestly.
Yeah, it's both more traditionally cyberpunk and more close to today, sort of.
Yeah. I think I'd hit this one at probably like a 6.5.
Yeah, I don't know, somewhere in there. I think I'll go 6.
I like the whole plot line of like American soldiers going AWOL because they've all kind of realized how fucked up things are and they just want to get out. That's a cool thing, which they could have explored in a movie that strictly focused on the American soldiers.
I would have loved that movie. Like if you had the Rudd and Thoreau characters, like turn it into fucking Aftermash, for God's sake.
Yeah. Like there's one point where you can hear somebody announcing that there are like bounties on American soldiers. So that there's a lot of them in Berlin, which is really interesting idea, but
yeah,
we didn't get to see much
I would
of it.
Absolutely fucking love that movie.
And Paul Rudd runs into his old commanding officer or something, or maybe it's just an MP that he knows really well, who's looking for him. That was cool. Yeah. Well, whatever. Style. I think this movie's got a lot of style.
This does have a lot of style. I mean, we can't fault it on that. This is easily for me an 8.
Yeah, I was gonna say 8 too. I love Alexander Skarsgård's whole Amish get up the whole fucking time. His little suspenders, he really stands out in an interesting way.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also beautiful examples of just absolute cyberpunk bullshit.
Yeah,
I mean, and I mean that in a very positive way.
The fuckbots, fuckbots are worth a point on their own.
Fuckbots are great. Fucking Dominic Monaghan looking like a road hard put away wet geisha. with not 5 o'clock shadow. It's like 10 o'clock shadow.
Yeah. Hand raisers 1 to 5. What do you think, Josh? I'm gonna let you go first.
I'm gonna go 1 for each plot line, 2. And also just because I find it almost offensive how much of a miss this movie is when it could so easily be a better movie.
Yeah, I want to give it more than 2 because like you, but I'm not offended by its. I'm like trying to use that to bring it up. The fact that it's almost there, but it's not there, and I can't really argue better than 2. If it didn't have the pedophile shit, maybe I could have made it a 3, but it did, and that ruined any enjoyment I would have had out of it.
If this didn't have the pedophile shit, it could be fucking 5, for God's sake.
Well, change nothing. Just remove all the pedophile shit and replace it with serial killer shit or something.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a 5. It might be a 3 or 4.
Well, yeah. But it's I don't know. I am offended at how much of a missed opportunity this is.
Yeah, same. All right, that's Mute. Dun, 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 dun. We finished.
We did.
Next week, we're going to be covering a movie that you have heard of. That movie is called They Live?
Yes, They Live.
Maybe.
With some blank space in front of it.
we haven't decided what we're going to do next week. We're going to watch They Live for the Patreon and see if it's cyberpunk enough for a full thing, I think.
Yeah, we'll see.
If it's not, I will have edited something else into here, so you won't even know.
Yeah, they'll never know. Dude, we could say anything here. They would never know.
Dude. Let's not. I've talked enough about
itty
awful
bitty
things.
titties.
Don't Say that line.
Damn it. He says, like, oh my God, I didn't even think to look at the fucking quotes page for this movie. Oh, I got to pull it up because we got to end with a quote.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Meanwhile, while he's pulling it up, why don't you guys, like I said, we're hopefully going to have a Patreon thing coming out this week. So check out our Patreon, patreon.com/hightechlowlife. We watch movies on there and talk about them. Not cyberpunk movies. We do other stuff too. I'm sure we'll have some fun stuff coming down the... Is it coming down the pipe or coming down the pike?
Pike.
That's what I thought.
Pike.
Okay. I just hear a lot of people misuse it, and it always makes me second guess myself.
Yep.
But it's pike, like the turnpike.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So yeah, patreon.com/hightechlowlife. Email us, hightechlifepodcast@gmail.com, and check us out on our only social media site, Blue Sky, at hightechlowlife. And I'm at the frog with a 0. He's at count 0 with an X and a 0.
Yes, that is all correct. Okay, I found the quotes page. You are going to be very surprised at just how, like, this movie was so dismissed when it came out for good reason, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There is a shockingly small amount of trivia and background for this movie when I was doing my research. There are only 2 fucking quotes on the IMDb quotes page.
Okay. Any of them worth going out on?
I will read both because there's 2.
We could just go out on silence. That would be fun.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's keep that in mind for after this. Okay, so the first one is last lines. Josie, you sound funny. Leo, so do you. I'll take you to your grandmother. She misses you. All right, that's something that's said in the movie. We can't argue with that.
I might just edit that out and just have a batch of silence.
And then the other one is labeled title card. In order to mold his people, God often has to meld them. Amish proverb.
Sure. Goodbye, everybody.
This has been the High Tech Low Life podcast. Find us on Twitter at Johnny60seconds, email us at hightechlowlifepodcast@gmail.com, and find us on Patreon at patreon.com/hightechlowlife. Theme music by Nihilor at nihilor.com. Thank you for listening.
Keep it moving. Come on, what are you waiting on? Let's go.
They're trashing our rights, man! They're trashing the fluid data! They're trashing! Trashing! Trashing!